like I've covered a hell of a lot of sports, produced a lot of telecasts of various sports. To me, the NFL, or American football, is by far the most satisfying because it's like three-dimensional violent chess. It's wonderful and it's unexpected. And like last Sunday's games were just fabulous, even the national championship Monday night,
yeah. Welcome back. National Football Show is Dan Sileo. We're going to catch up with our friend David Hill, the creator of Fox Sports. Imagine having that as something on your resume. I made Fox Sports. No. You mean you worked with Fox? No. I made Fox Sports. Fox Sports is what it is because of David Hill. I was talking to Sean McManus, the chairman of CBS, last night, telling him that we were going to get David on. And we were having conversations about what they had to work with from the very beginning. They didn't even have a logo. They had no music. You know how you go back in the day and you have Wide World of Sports, Spanning the Globe, Jim McKay. You had, signature voices that were on ABC Sports, and ABC obviously morphed into being ESPN and all that. So you had those voices, right? And how would you like to have that distinction of being the creator of Fox Sports? We bring in our friend now, David Hill. And David Hill, obviously, I love this. David, I said this. I go like this to Sean McManus last night. And I said this to him. I go, I'm having David Hill on. He goes, that man did not have a logo. He had no music. He had no talent. He had nothing. And he created Fox Sports. Welcome aboard, David. Thank you so much for coming on.
I didn't get the note about the cap. I'm sorry. What? Sean said I had no talent. Bastard.
No, not you. He said you had no talent at Fox Sports.
I'll forgive him just this once. Yeah. That was the situation.
How about this, David? The NFL, it just came out a couple days ago that the National Football League last year in 2021, of the 100 highest rated television shows, 91 of them were NFL football games. Probably doesn't shock you in how big the league has become.
No, well, what's terrific about the league, it's been through its ups and downs, but largely thanks to an unknown soldier toiling away in the bowels of the NFL that's made all the difference. His name is Howard Katz. That the NFL, when other sports are on this slow lemming-like cliff of their demise, the NFL just keeps getting stronger. And as I said, largely due to Howard Katz's brilliance at being able to organize the schedule so that every televised games, or as many as he can make, are meaningful. And that has been the key difference over the last 3 years of the league, if you look at the league's growth.
When Rupert Murdoch went to you and he said that he wanted to start a sports division, what was your first response to him when he came to you and asked that?
I was running Sky Sports in Britain, and Sky had a very tenuous beginning. We'd been losing money for 3 years, and we organized a deal to put the English Premier League when it was started, so that we were very much involved with the creation of the EPL. And we had to make the decision, because of what we paid, that we had to switch from being a free-to-air broadcast to subscription, which of course freaked all the sales guys out. What? You're going to make people pay for it? And so we charged, I think, £5 a month. And in the first month, we had 950,000 people sign up. So we suddenly knew that we had an audience and it was working. And you have no idea what it's like. You probably do, starting your podcast, not knowing whether you're going to pay the bills at the end of the month and or any checks going to come through the door. And Rupert, God bless him, he's got huge nuts. He just saw through that because he believed that it was going to work. So we got it up and running, and suddenly I'm able to breathe that we are making money and that we're going to, and we are having so much fun with the EPL and the guys in the English Soccer League. It was great. And then he said, listen, I'm going to have a crack at the NFL. And I said to him, what? Which one? And he said, well, CBS, the NFC. I said, oh, yeah, right. Okay. Terrific. Yeah, yeah, okay, good. Good luck. Send me a postcard. Let me know how it goes. Anyway, so we came out and did the pitch to Jerry Jones and Commissioner Tagliabue and the boys, and voila, we got it. And so I suddenly get called that I have to I have to come out to LA and get it set up. So, which is what I did.
David, I grew up with Sean McManus. We're childhood friends, and I grew up with Jim McKay. And people don't realize the NFC had been on CBS, if I'm not mistaken, for 54 years. I mean, to get that pride away, I mean, even you had to sit there and go like this. There is absolutely no way. I'll get to Madden and Summerall here in a minute, but you had to be thinking it'd be like getting the Premier League away from their home broadcast company and going to a new startup. It's almost unbelievable. If you could make that comparison, you must have been stunned when that happened.
Well, it's like switching Seinfeld from NBC to ABC. It's like switching Friends across to the CW. Actually, that's not a bad comparison. It's like switching Friends from NBC to the CW. I could not believe that that CBS would give up this crown jewel. I don't think anyone did. But they believed what happened was, what was interesting that was percolating, the NFL didn't feel CBS was treating them the right way. They felt that they were being shortchanged in terms of production and in terms of promotion and just in terms of the way that the league was handled by CBS. And so that when you had these young mavericks coming into the league, especially Jerry Jones, who's saying, what the hell? Why on earth some of our games are being covered with 4 cameras? So there was a very telling piece in SI. They had a front cover, which was called the NFL stands for the No Fun League. And so that luckily, Val Pinchback, Commissioner Tagliabue, had been to England and saw the way that I covered soccer games, football games. I'll use soccer for your audience. Soccer actually is football. They use their feet most of the time. Just wanted to make that little point. So they'd seen the way that we did it in Britain. And so I said, we're going to do an hour pregame show. They've gone, what? How can you do an hour pregame show? I said, well, you can do an hour pregame show. And I explained how we're going to cover it. And I think it was, well as the money, the most important aspect, the most important emotion of that deal was that everyone in the National Football League, from Commissioner Tagliabue down, realized that the center of attention for the fledgling Fox network was not going to be The Simpsons, wasn't going to be Married with Children, wasn't going to be In Living Color. It was going to be the National Football League. And I think that meant so much, plus the check. Don't forget the check. But it was an attitude of, we love you, we respect you, and we're going to grow with you. And I think that was part of the decision-making process in the National Football League to switch from the CBS. If CBS management, senior management, like Tish and the other guys, had put their arms around Jerry Jones, given him a big hug, a peck on each cheek, and said, we really love you, we're going to step it up, Fox never would have got a look in.
Do you agree, David, that Jerry Jones is most arguably the most important owner, him, Al Davis, those kind of guys? I talked to Marty Caldner, who started the Hard Knocks, and some of the people at HBO, and nobody wanted that thing. But Jerry got the pitch. He heard the pitch. He said, this is going to attract younger audiences. Over the last couple of years, he hasn't had a lot of success on the field, but the one thing that he has done is grow the brand. And I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it? On growing the brand of the NFL, because he's one of those guys like yourself that sees down the line and goes, listen, we can't have a league of 54-year-old sports fans. It's got to be 1834. It's got to be attracting to people like that. Those guys will grow up. They'll buy homes. They'll do this. And you're always using that wheel like that. How important was Jerry Jones in this whole process for Fox, for the growth of the league?
Vital. Jerry once said to me, like he's one of the more I've met a lot of interesting characters along the track of life, right? But Jerry's got to be like up there as one of the most interesting. And he said something once, and I think we're having a few adult beverages, and he said, there is nothing like catching a 20-pound bass on a 1-pound line. And I think that sums Jerry up. Jerry is a unique set of people within that. Like he's not schizophrenic. He's like kaleidoscopic. There's so many aspects of that guy's personality. And I think one of the more interesting connections that's been made in the National Football League is the friendship between Jerry and Robert Kraft. That here with Robert, you have a traditional businessman, like cut from the cloth of a businessman. And then you have Jerry Jones, who is a wildcatter. Put the two of them together and boom, that's what's happened.
Absolutely here. Who made the call to John Madden to try to get him to come over to Fox? Was it you initially, or was it Rupert Murdoch?
Well, it would have been Rupert or Chase, one of the two. When
did you get involved in the process?
Well, I was in. Well, listen, in that January and February, it was so frenetic, like getting it done. Like I was more, if the check to get John was going to be huge, so it was well out of whatever budgets that I had. I was more interested, to be honest, at that stage, because I was fixated, as well as the broadcast of the games, on our pregame show, because I felt that we would be, Fox Sports would be judged, not by the way we cover the games, because a game is a game is a game. We had a few things, like I've been very fortunate that I was taught at a very young age the importance of audio, and I knew what I wanted to do with audio and that. I knew I wanted to do with cameras. But I felt that the key thing for us so that we were visually different from the other networks covering the NFL was our pregame show. And the one thing that I'd been told not to do by the executive at the executives at Fox, was to hire a guy called Terry Bradshaw. Now, I wouldn't have known Terry Bradshaw if he stood up in my cornfield. I really wouldn't. I had no idea who he was. And so I'm getting all this advice, da-da-da. And the only thing that was that do not hire Terry Bradshaw. Okay. Who's Terry Bradshaw? Oh, he's a quarterback. Done. By a sheer fluke, I'm watching CBS, their pregame show on the morning of the NFC Championship. And there's this guy, Terry Bradshaw. Oh, shit, there's that Terry Bradshaw. And he's with this guy called Greg Gumbel. And I think, Terry Bradshaw, wonder why they told me not to hire him. He's terrific, looks good, whatever. And then there was an incident. And Terry got up from the desk where he's sitting with Greg, and he walked across to a telestrator. And he goes, dong, 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 bum, 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 X's and O's, whatever. But it was the way he walked from the desk to the telestrator. And it wasn't a walk. It was a swagger. And I fell in love. My little heart went pitter-patter. I thought, that's the guy for me. Because to me, Terry Bradshaw, personified what I wanted Fox Sports to be. I wanted it to be knowledgeable, but funny. I wanted to sugarcoat the education pill. And I felt that Terry was, and I got to tell you, not a bad tip, who was on Fox NFL Sunday last Sunday, a fellow called Terry Bradshaw, wearing a cap. I would have taken it off him, but nevertheless, wearing a cap. Well, the conversation with John Madden, I had so much to do. Like, I'm here in LA, and the reason I wanted to start it in LA, because I'd worked a couple of shoots in New York, and you'd walk into the studios there, and it'd be like walking at the end of the world. And the guys had a hassle getting in. It was snowing, and oh God, I don't want this. And they said, "Are you going to set it up in New York?" And I said, "I don't think so." I said, "I want to set it up where the bulk of the guys, the people, and I use guys, males, females, whatever, who work in the entertainment industry. I want it to be in Los Angeles so that everyone, the cameramen, the editors, the mixers, the TDs are used to working on entertainment shows because that's what I want to do with Fox Sports." So that's why it was out here. This was all going on. John was represented even then by Sandy Montag and Barry Frank.
Yep.
And that was largely Rupert and Chase who handled that deal.
Do you like the broadcasting? I had a chance to talk to Ted Turner years ago about, looking at CNN years after he sold it. I believe it was to AOL. And, he had different opinions on how the news was being broadcast. I'm wondering for you, when you see how the NFL is being broadcast, I mean, are you a fan of it? Do you think that they're doing the same concepts that you envisioned on what your vision was for the NFL on Fox? Or do you think it's just because, again, things change because of situations, decades change, situations change in it? Do you like where the NFL is right now broadcasting?
Yeah, it's let me put it this way. Like I've covered a hell of a lot of sports, produced a lot of telecasts of various sports. To me, the NFL, American football, is by far the most satisfying because it's like three-dimensional violent chess. It's wonderful and it's unexpected. And like last Sunday's games were just fabulous. Even the national championship Monday night, it is terrific. I think in terms of cameras, lenses, and audio, what I'm disappointed about is that nothing's really moved. That I would like to see a lot more graphic displays. I think that what I've said for a million years has been that the next big advance in sports coverage is alternate commentary teams, and I think what ESPN has done with the Manning brothers is precisely that. But just it's like when Chase and I and Eric Shanks were at DirecTV, that we played around with it because with DirecTV you had multiple video sources, whatever. With a linear television channel, you just have the one. But just to what my great dream was always to do a World Series and to have Joe Buck and whoever broadcasting the main feed, but have Jimmy Kimmel doing another audio feed, and then to have like a great manager like Joe Torre doing a third, so that depending on what you wanted to listen to, how you wanted to be informed and entertained, it was your choice. And I think that what ESPN has done with the Manning brothers is, I love that telecast. I think
so. You would want to have, David. You would want to have, like on DirecTV, multiple opportunities where you could watch Joe Torre, you could watch Kimmel, you could watch a comedian, you could watch a singer, you can watch numerous people.
I would actually classify Jimmy Kimmel as a comedian. I think that yes, it's a comedian's take. It's like, I'd love to hear an acerbic Bill Maher do something, because I think that would be hysterical. And I think that the areas in which sports can move ahead is multiple broadcast feeds, listening to other views than, like, we've been listening to one because of the technical inflexibility that is posed on it. But you could really do, through a computer feed, have X number of different commentary feeds. I would like to see a lot more use of graphics in the live game. I think that all sports, with the exception of football and soccer, hang on, let me put this other way: football and American football, whatever. I think that the demographics are aging incredibly rapidly. I think the golf demo at the moment averages around about 65, which is pretty scary. And I think tennis is up there as well. And I think that the audience that always went along with their parents and became ardent fans and avid fans just by rote are now moving to the Xbox and to the video games and whatever. Like Twitch, which I don't know how many of you
I have a channel.
Right. Twitch is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just passed 2 billion viewers. And the kids that would watch football or baseball or NBA or whatever are now watching video game competitions. And to me, that is the greatest problem facing the professional sports audience. Because what's going to happen, like everything is based on sponsors. That when the sponsors go, hang on, that's not my audience. They're 65. So what you're going to start seeing on sports shows is advertisements for adult diapers. It's like watching CNN or Fox News. What do you see with old audience? So I think that the leagues themselves have got to look at the way they are presented to the public in order for them to ensure their longevity.
Finally here, one of my favorite sporting events and one of my favorite sports is F1. Did you have a fun time dealing with F1? Did you like it?
In fact, I've just come off the phone with Dean Locke. I seriously had probably the most fun of my life. The 3 years I spent with F1 and
David, these people don't know how big those stars are in the world, right? The Michael Schumachers of the world and all of those. I mean, they're enormous stars.
Well, they have, I think there's 600 million viewers on a regular basis. In the States, Espen has done a very good job with the F1 broadcast, taking Sky's feed. I think it's up to 1.5 million who watch races generally. But I was working with guys like Dean Locke, who runs it, and Phil Rourke, who's the director, and Justin Laurie, the graphics guy, and Tony Ellis, who does the replays. And what we were able to do in the 3 years that I was with them is pull everything together. And I'm just so proud of them. And watching that final race, where Maxie beat Lewis, was just an incredible number of stories. I had the best time. I loved it.
Okay, finally, last thing. Did you ever go on Coach Johnson's boat? Hey, know this. I'm going to text Coach Johnson right after this. So did you ever go on his boat?
Oh, yeah, shit. I got to tell you. Jimmy had left Coach Johnson had left the Dolphins, and I wanted him to get him back into the studio, and he hated doing the cross country run from Miami, whatever. So I said, listen, I'm coming down for 2. We got to talk this through. Like, come on, you're an integral part of the show. You've got to come back. So we spent the first day drinking Heinekens. And then we spent the night drinking Heinekens. And then the next morning, as the sun bursts over the Atlantic Ocean, I find that I'm in a boat heading at about 50 knots, heading due east, with Jimmy at the wheel. I'm thinking, holy shit. Look, Coach Johnson is going to be one of my favorite people on earth. It's like I can't explain it. It's with Howie and Terry and Coach Johnson. It was like, it was like, anyway. It was a remarkable emotional experience. But Coach Johnson is a fantastic fisherman, and his knowledge of lobster habitats has got to be seen to be believed, and that's all I will be drawn on that subject. It's lobster habitat. That's it.
Now I know in closing here that Eric Shanks got talked into that BS where he sits back in the Keys, because if David Hill was still at Fox, Jimmy, get your ass on that plane and get to L.A.
For God's sake, man. Anyway. Yes. Well, at least the way Eric's got him doing it, it's like when we started off and the bastard wouldn't come across, he sat in front of this aquarium. And so there'd be Jimmy Coach Johnson saying something vitally important. And you'd see it like a flapper fish would swim behind him and then come out of his left ear. It was most off-putting. Anyway, I'd much prefer to see him in the studio with the boys.
Absolutely. David, this has been a privilege for you taking time with me like this. And
next time I'll put the cap on. Don't worry.
Okay, next time I won't have the cap on because that's the third time, so I know this. When an executive says this, don't show up with the cap next time. David, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Dan. See you, man.
You got it, man. That's my friend David Hill. Creator of Fox Sports. Wow, has he seen it all? Whew. My friends, he's still a consultant for Fox TV and Rupert Murdoch. Okay, so now, hey, it was 3 times he brought up the beanie. Okay, next time, what's this? Now you can't leave. So did you hear that? Okay, so the current, hey, man, hey, Mad Hatter, man. Get this, guys. Okay? How about this, man? Xander even loves it. Dude, get this, guys. You'll never see a bigger sports executive in your life on a podcast show than him. Eric Shanks, the people that work on Sundays, he hired them all. He hired Menifee, he hired Howie, he hired Jimmy, he hired Terry, he hired the current president of Fox Sports, Eric Shanks. He hired all the people at NASCAR. He hired all the people at college football on Fox. I don't think he hired Joe Klatt. But everything, he hired Joe Buck. He hired Troy Aikman. Pete, he's a big deal is right, man. You will never in your lifetime see anybody like that ever again. Thank you so much, man. He killed it, didn't he? I was a little concerned about not seeing him because you know me, Big Sills don't like. Hey, always know this, guys. Big Sills doesn't like this. I don't like people that whisper, and I don't like people I can't see. Okay, guy goes, "You see me well, don't you?" And I go, "I do, and I don't." You know, yeah. Oh man, I don't like people that mumble. I don't like mumblers, man. Pete, thank you. Me too. Hey, Pete, can I tell you this? I can't believe we got him. I can't believe that's the first time I've ever had David Hill on my show, radio or now on the network here. He doesn't do it. I've had his cell phone. We've texted back and forth for like 100 years. Okay? Backyard Birds podcast. Hey, trust me. And look, guys, you know what? We don't drop a lot of them dudes on you. Trust me when I tell you. We're not going to put .com nobodies on. Here, you want to know what my rule is? If you're not a bigger star than Big Sills, you ain't coming on. Oh, man. Okay? You ain't a bigger star than Big Sills, you're not coming on the program. Muhammad says, Dan, you're a superstar. Really? And that's what my wife tells me sometimes. Hey, you had a good day. Hey, you had a shitty day. Hey, Steve, thank you, dude. I can't believe we got David Hill. Hey, I don't even know what he said. And Xander goes, that's one of my favorite interviews you've done. Yeah, man. See, I have a couple questions at the beginning, and then what I do is I just go off of what they say and what they're doing. It's easier to get that out of people with when you're looking for something. You have probably, look, I break down about 5 or 6 questions that I have to get in there because I'm always looking for a soundbite, but I'm going to allow you to open up. Like Jay talking about Lane Johnson and his mental health issues. He worked with Lane. To get Lane. Hey, Armand says Dan starstruck. Yeah, probably. On that one? Hey, on that one? Yeah. Eric says you're the next star in Philly media. Thank you, dude. That would be an honor. Daryl says, Sills, you're an important person. Really? Not in my house. That's right, Ken. That's kind of where I got a little bit of that technique is from Carson. Carson would have a couple questions. Stern, too. Howard's a great interviewer. Pete says, I love the idea of other networks should be doing. Dude, I love that Peyton and Eli broadcast, too. I was telling young football players, they were asking me, I go, look, you want to learn the game? And you really want to see the game through an NFL lens? What you do is you watch Eli and Peyton talk about it. Boy, it's a different – when you hear broadcasters talking and then when you hear Eli and Peyton Manning talking about it, it's a completely different optic and conversation. By the way, when I post these pictures that we had Jay Glazer and we had Rupert Murdoch's number 2 guy. You know, David Hill was Rupert Murdoch's number 2 guy. And for the record, he still is number 1 consultant on all television properties. Fox News, too. He helped build Fox News. Okay? Romo's turned into somebody pretty good, hasn't he? I'm starting to like Tony Romo. Hey, get this, guys. I'm working on Jeremiah Trotter. I see you guys like Dawkins and Seth, but I'm working on Jeremiah Trotter. What do you think? I'm trying to get him on. I sent him a message. I sent him a text message. So I'm hoping to see if we can get Jeremiah Trotter on. I know Tony Bruno's going to join us tomorrow, too, by the way. Okay? Hey, by the way, Joshua says, Dan, you look better with the Bucks. Come on back. We want you. Hey, look. Hey, Joshua, those people in Florida have banned me. Spanish Phil, Jay Trotter, let's go. Love Trotter. This show fucking sucks. Timothy, thank you. Oh, my God. Hey, me too, Eric. That is so good, man. This show fucking sucks. I told everyone. You see, Xander doesn't like any gratuitous backslapping in any way whatsoever. So I said this from now on, please. Hey, this show fucking sucks. LOL. No, it was a compliment. No, it was a compliment, man. Holy cow. Is tomorrow Friday? Good grief, man. Football Friday. The Buccaneer Eagle train starts on Friday. Breakdowns. What happens? Jalen versus Brady. Jonathan Gannon versus Brady. Sirianni versus Bruce Arians. Man. Pete, thank you, man. That very cool, man. Dude, I can't wait to see it. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Had a Power Pack show today. Jay Glazer and Fox Sports creator David Hill were on with us. And if you missed any of it, please go back and watch it, share it. Really a fun time. Please hit the like button. We really appreciate it. Till tomorrow, 4 to 6. We'll catch you on the flip side.